A very good afternoon, dear students. I think my screen must be recorded and you must be seeing that the pixels are falling apart. So my laptop would be going for a screen repair and I won't be able to take a live class. So I decided just to maintain a balance, I would shoot and make a small YouTube tutorial for the next chapter that we are to begin by the name of Chapter 4 Animal Kingdom. Though it is Chapter 4 in the book, but I'm sure all of you know that we have completed um, approximately chapter 2, 1, 2, 3, plus 2 chapters from the unit cell. So we have completed 5 chapters in biology till now. And now we are proceeding with the 6th chapter, which is the animal kingdom for us. And with the animal kingdom, the first unit will be completed. Just a brief scope up. A lot of news is coming across that NCRT is probably downsizing the syllabi. There have been some news reports, but nothing has been released by the NCRT. The latest NCRT upload on their website is this, which is for biology. I think this is not clear if it is very old or very new, but if I was to go by this division, the first unit, in which it is already mentioned that we have to discuss the salient features, the unique characteristics of different animal kingdom phyla. Of course, we will be talking of all the phyla which is majorly grouped under the non-chordates and the chordates. So the non-chordates have to be done up till the phyla level. So that would mean from Porifera to Hemichordata, we will be dealing with the common features, the salient features, unique characteristics, with a few examples, at least 2 examples that has been mentioned for this group, and for the chordates, the classification extends up to the class level. And of course, we are going to take up at least 5 salient features and characteristic features with 2 examples. I will be sharing all this material in the WhatsApp group with you. As far as what the syllabus goes, as per the NCRT website, it is this. So almost it is more or less the same. It is categorically mentioned that no live animal or specimen should be displayed. So we are going to, as it is, we are not able to use our lab. So what we are going to do is we are going to use on-screen images from the internet so that you find the general characteristics of these animals more relatable and you are easily able to memorize the same. As far as the chapter goes, I will be sharing a link of this NCRT PDF with you in the video title section and description section itself. So it should not be much of a problem to you. Even if the books are not available, you can just click on the link and download the PDF and get going. So just like in case of uh, you know the 5 kingdom classification, or whether you do the 6 kingdom classification under the 3 domains, we very well know that we have studied kingdom Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. So this is the last kingdom that we are going to deal with. The first thing that when we talk of the word animals, right? I'm just going to mark it for you. So when we say animal, I think all of us, the first word that comes to our mind is animated, and there is some movement. So we are basically talking of creatures or living beings which show movement, and not just any movement. Majority of them are able to move from one point to another. So they show the property of locomotion and position change. So this is very important. How do we classify and how do we group the animal kingdom or kingdom Animalia? Classify it into different phyla, and phyla is further classified into different classes. For that, we need to consider some common features. What are those common features or those fundamental principles? Number one, I'm going to mark the text side by side so that you're able to see. It is the arrangement of the cells. Number one. So when we say arrangement of the cells, we are talking about whether this organism is having a cellular kind of body organization, or the cells are aggregated to form tissues, or the tissues are aggregated to form proper organs and organ systems. We are basically talking of unique features which start right from the simplistic of designs and then move on to complex and highly evolved designs. Body symmetry. If at all the body of the organism shows any kind of symmetry, and if there is some kind of symmetry or some kind of mirror imaging, we would say, is the body radially symmetrical or is it bilaterally symmetrical? We would be discussing these terms. If there is any body cavity or coelom, if it is there, if it is not there, is it pseudocoelom? Again, we will be discussing those terms again. The patterns of the digestive, circulatory, and reproductive systems. So this means these are the basic unique features or fundamental principles on which a proposed classification for the kingdom Animalia can also be followed. The first one taken up is the levels of organization. If the body is, loosely made up of cell aggregates or group of cells, that is the cellular level. And for cellular level, the first very phyla or the group of kingdom Animalia would be the sponges, or phyla would be porifera, the poriferans. For a moment, I would bring you back to this diagram. So this is also there in the NCERT textbook. It is a broad scheme for classification of the kingdom Animalia. Another thing is that animals are multicellular. So over here in certain reference books, you may find an anomaly. They have included certain protists like amoeba or paramecium also under the animal kingdom, which may be a point of contention. But as per your text, we would move according to the fact that animals are multicellular. And if they are multicellular, what kind of organizational levels do they have? If the body is made up of cellular aggregates or group of cells, it is cellular. Porifera or sponges. If there is tissue level organization, that well, the group of cells are coordinated, they are formed. A similar group of cells have come together and formed a tissue, and that tissue is performing a specific role or function. And the cells which are making up that tissue are of a typical specific type, they are alike. That would be the tissue organization or the tissue level of organization. And if the tissues are forming to make specialized organs, and many organs are coordinated to form respective organ systems, like there is a digestive system, there is a respiratory system, there is a circulatory system, there is a reproductive system, there is a nervous system, etc., etc., etc. So that would mean that we are cellular level is very basic and we are moving towards the most complicated or complex design which has the organ systems. Coming back to your text, the same point is explained over here. And for the tissue level of organization, they bring in the coelenterata or the cnidarians. So the most common example of a coelenterata or a cnidarian that we know from class 9 is Hydra, for example. And of course, then we talk of the organ level, then we have the members of Platyhelminthes, and of course, the other groups, the other phyla, like annelids, arthropods, mollusks, gynodermata, um, chordata, they are all having the organ system kind of organization. So they are having special organs grouped together to perform a common life process. That would be an organ system, right? But depending upon the complexity of the body design, the organ system can also be very simplistic to it, or it can be a bit complicated. And for that, I always, instead of covering the entire chapter in the text, the trick is to simply go to the last page of this chapter and you find an excellent table right here. This is such a self-explanatory table. If you just look at this, the body cellular organization, the levels of organization, what kind of symmetry, coelom, present, absent, false. Then they are talking about if the body is segmented into different regions, like is there a head, a thorax, or an abdomen, or is the body without any segmentation? What kind of the essential life process systems we are talking about, and if there are some distinctive characteristic features. Now, another important word is how do you remember the characteristic features? Right now, it is just the initiation class or tutorial for this chapter. Don't even think that the chapter started in detail. It's just an initiation. For example, I'll just like to share with you the trick. The trick is this. For example, the first phylum is Porifera. Look for the word. Porifera includes which word? Pore, right? So it should strike you that the body of these kind of organisms, they are going to have pores and canals in the wall. So porifera, pore, pore, porifera. Sponges, something which is marked with pores. So this is one way of remembering. When you say Nidaria, the first thing that should come to your mind is nidoblasts, right? Uh, Ctenophora, teens, the C remains silent, teens, or the comb plate. So C for comb plate, C for teens, C for ctenophora. Platyhelminthes, flat. Can you remember the word flat? So platyhelminthes, flatworms, you know. And of course, P for platyhelminthes, P for the classic organism Planaria, right? Then Eschelminthes, Annelida. Annelida, of course, means segments, right? The segmentation is very prominent. And of course Eschelminthes, the roundworms, right? So A for Eschelminthes and A for Ascaris, if you can remember it like this. Arthropoda, poda is the word to focus on. And there is the jointed appendages, then mollusca, right? Then echinodermata. So I think there are different ways and means by which we can make the phylum very relatable for memorization. So always refer to this back table, which is at the last part of the text. It is very essential that we find out simple ways of memorizing these chapters. We were talking about the body symmetry, for example. So if you before the body symmetry, we were talking about the levels of simplicity or complexity of the organ systems. For example, the digestive system in the platyhelminthes or the flatworms. It has only one opening to the exterior environment, which means that that same opening is acting as the channel for ingestion of food particles as well as egestion or throwing out of the wastes. So it is the single port, the single opening, which is acting as the mouth as well as the anus. Now compare it to your own body design. Our own alimentary canal has two distinct openings. The mouth or the buccal cavity is meant for ingestion, and of course, the anus is meant for egestion. So, compare that. The levels of complexities are also very variable in between the different organ systems. And of course, the kind of circulatory system is there. What kind of a circulatory system is there? Every organism, an animal has some body fluid circulating or moving in their body. Now look at the word circulation. The word circulation has the word circle in it. That the body fluid is originating from one point and is coming back to the same point, right? So there's some kind of circulation, some kind of movement. So it can be open or it can be closed. Open would now closed. Closed would mean that the body fluid is being circulated or transported through closed vessels or tubes, right? So the body fluid like lymph or blood, for example, they are not directly moving in between the tissue spaces. They are channelized or they are moving through closed tubes or the vessels like the arteries, the veins, the capillaries. When we say open type, we are saying that the entire cells or tissue spaces are being directly drenched or bathed or they are directly exposed to the body fluid. So that is the open type of circulatory system. So here are two questions for you. What kind of circulatory systems do you have? The open system and the closed system. Similarly, you have the body symmetry. So do you find that the body of the organism shows some kind of pattern or some kind of symmetry? Can you divide it into equal halves in any plane or from any zone or plane from the top or from the sides? If you cannot, um, it's asymmetrical. So when we say asymmetrical, A means without. Of course, without symmetry is asymmetrical. So you cannot split the body. So If from any plane you try to locate the center of the body, you cannot divide the body of the organisms into two equal halves. Of course, since the body design of the poriferans or the sponges is the cellular type, the poriferans show the asymmetric body design. If you try to find the center of the body and try to split it into two equal halves, you don't find any plane for that. When we say radial symmetry, look at the word radius hidden in the word radial. What does that mean? That if there is any plane passing through the central axis of the body, um, from any plane, there is a central axis. You can divide the body of the organism into two equal halves from any plane. That is radial symmetry. For example, coelentrates or cnidarians, ctenophores, echinoderms, they show this kind of a symmetry. And for that, refer to the diagram over here. This is the body of Hydra, which is a coelentrator or a cnidarian. And you can see how many planes are around. So if this is the central point or the central axis marked by this yellow dot, you can see you can divide the body of the Hydra or the coelentrator into two equal halves from any plane. That is radial symmetry. And of course, when the body of the organism can be divided into two equal halves or two equal planes, only in one direction or one plane. That is bilateral symmetry. So the word bi means two, lateral means sides. So you can divide the body of the organism like animals belonging to Annelida, Arthropoda, even our own body. That is the bilateral symmetry. You will be able to demarcate the body into two halves, equal halves, identical halves, the right half and the left half. So the right half is equal to the left half across one single plane, which may be a vertical plane, and it is only one single plane. You don't have multiple planes by which you try and divide the body, it will fall into two equal halves. Won't happen. So that is bilateral symmetry. So this is the way you have to approach the chapter and go through the common terms. The next feature or fundamental of understanding the division or the classification of animals is in the embryonal stage. During the life cycle of this animal, when of course the gametes fuse and the zygote is formed and the zygote becomes a ball of cells and ultimately the embryo is formed and the embryo then forms the embryonic layers or the embryonic um, cells are arranged in specific layers. What kind of embryonic layers or germinal layers are seen? And of course, these are the germinal layers from which the organs and the organ systems will originate, right? So depending upon this, the organisms can be divided into these categories. They can either be diploblastic or triploblastic. So di means two, blastic from the word blastula. So this is one of the stages when the organism is a ball of cells and those cells are arranging themselves at the periphery in the form of germinal layers, and from these layers the organogenesis will begin. So this will be a better concept, explained better when in class 12 we deal with reproduction. For now, try to understand that the organisms and the animals can be divided into two main categories, diploblastic or triploblastic, as the name indicates, whether they are two germinal layers or three germinal layers. So if there are two germinal layers, there is the outermost called the ectoderm and the innermost layer called the endoderm. In case of the diploblastic organisms, there is an undifferentiated layer present in between the innermost germinal layer or endoderm and the outermost germinal layer or ectoderm. It is called the mesoglia. Many times there is a 1 mark question or an MCQ, what is mesoglia, or So we must remember that the mesoglia is an undifferentiated layer. It is present in between the ectoderm and the endoderm, and it is a classic feature of the diploblastic organisms or animals. And of course, as the name indicates, and in organisms in which the mesoglia is fully transformed into a differentiated middle layer, it becomes the mesoderm. And depending upon the levels of complexity Various organs and organ systems will be originating from these three germinal layers, namely the ectoderm, the mesoderm, and the endoderm. So depending upon the type of germinal layers, the number of germinal layers, we have these different organisms, right? And of course, in up to um, from platyhelminthes to the chordates, right? The most advanced towards the advancement as we approach, we have the platyhelminthes to the chordata. There is, of course, the triploblastic kind of animal origin, whereas in case of the lower chordates, right from the poriferans till the till the pinophores, the kind of symmetry seen is the diploblastic segmentation or symmetry, or the body design, or the differentiation of the germinal layers, to be very precise. And last but not the least, basic features. Is there the presence of a body cavity or not? So if there is a presence, the organism is having a body cavity which is lined by the mesoderm. That body cavity is called the coelom. Is it present? Is it absent? In fact, this is one topic which I want to take up in the class, in the live class, because there is a technique by which, a simple technique by which I want to show you the difference between a coelomate, an acoelomate, and a pseudocoelomate, simply by using rolls of paper and chart. We'll be doing that activity in a live class once my laptop is repaired and it gets back. For now, just remember this differentiation. And of course, if there is segmentation, is the body, externally from the outside and as far as from the inside, divided into segments, some kind of repetitive segments or portions of the body. For example, in case of annelids. So, annelid from the word annular, annulae, rings, right? So, we see metamerism, the metameric kind of segmentation, in which segments of the body are repeated in like a sequential or a serial manner. Of course, when we talk of arthropods, the body is completely demarcated into the head, thorax, and abdomen. And of course, even in our own bodies, we see that kind of segmentation. And then there is the notochord. Now, this is the crux. Whether you are saying the animal is a non-chordate or chordate. Basically, when we say a non-chordate, we are saying absence of a chord, absence of the notochord. Ultimately, is this animal going to be non-vertebrate, an invertebrate, or a vertebrate? Absence of notochord, presence of notochord, right? So we are going to discuss the presence and absence of the notochord, as well as um, you know the coelom, the body cavity lined by the mesoderm, presence, absence, or false. These two topics I would like to take in live classes through activities. So for now, this was just an introduction that how you are to deal with the NCERT. What are the salient features or the fundamental features on which we get this kind of a division or demarcation or classification of the kingdom Animalia. We will be dealing with, again I repeat, the body cavity coelom, as well as the presence or absence of the notochord in detail in the next live class, and then we will commence with the first phylum, which is Porifera. And remember one thing very clearly. There are so many species out there under each phylum and in each class of each phylum. And basically, it is humanly impossible that you try and remember each and every one of those species. However, for the examination and for general updates and information, it is very good to know the unique characteristics as well as the general characteristics of each phylum and some very classic organisms which are commonly known to belong to that phylum. That makes the examination purpose sorted, as well as adds a good amount to your information as well. Do not focus upon memorizing too many examples. Do not go into memorizing 50 examples of each of the organisms under each phylum. That is not going to be helpful. For that, you have big computer databases. Doesn't make any sense in times of artificial intelligence. So I would focus on the fact that you should be more focused uh, on what the NCRT and CBSE is asking us to do, and they are clearly asking us to do the salient features, the unique features, the general characteristics with a few examples, right, from each category. So we will be focused on that. See you all in the coming class. Hopefully my laptop will be repaired by that time. Thank you so much. I've posted a link in the video for the NCRT. Please download the chapter from there for your reference. If a hard copy is not available to you in times of pandemic, so no problems. Take care everyone. Till next time.